Hello, everybody. Maybe. I don't know. Somebody send me a message. Let me know if I'm on, okay? Please. Some of them want to be abused. That's it, all right. There are a number of ways you can do this. You can come in on Skype if you like. We're MITD51 in North America, MITD55 in the rest of the world. And back to the lines. Oh, yes, we have a scot-free line. Now that means if you want to level with us about something that happened in your life that you did, that you got away from scot-free, then you're going to want to call area code 575-208-7787. That's area code 575-208-7787. Let us go to the scot-free line. You're on the air. Hello.
Art.
Yes.
Art. Well, I'm not sure what I can say, so I'll be cautious here, but
okay.
I have two things. I'm not sure if I'm doing this right or not. I sent you an email about some new fusion discovery, but in the meantime, you opened up the...
yes, if you're not calling about something you got away with scot-free, then you're on a wrong line.
Well, no. Here's what I want to tell you about. I go to Vegas, I gamble, and I encountered the third largest killer beehive in the history of Las Vegas, and I got away with just a few stings, and I think it was in excess of 35,000 bees in the hive. And I just thought, I don't know if that gets away with scot-free or not, but it was a very, very unusual engagement. And I didn't know whether you wanted to hear that or not. So
Did you hit or kick this beehive, or what?
No, there's a house. It was on Flamingo and Pecos.
Yes.
And some young boys had bought it and turned it into a permaculture. And they found me to be interesting, and I stayed there with them. I was doing some work in the back 2 acres.
Yes.
And I began to notice bee activity. And when I went up to closer to the house, we noticed they were up in the eave. It's a very tall house with a big pool, huge place. And they asked me if I wouldn't try to move them out with some smoke. So I rigged up a can. But anyway,
normally a bee won't bother you unless you bother it.
Well, here's the point I want to make to you. I'll just try to wrap this up because it was a 2-week engagement. But you have to understand that I've never felt that I'd been assimilated by a creature who could hover in front of me and feel that. And then they set me up, and when I ran to my van, there was one waiting for me. And I was staggered by the degree of being felt as if I'd been assimilated by these bees. And I'd have to tell you each story, but for example, I was in a small hut, and I noticed one hovering in the doorway.
Well, maybe you were. Maybe you were assimilated. You thought about that?
Well, I don't mean, but that's what I'm suggesting to you is they were assimilating the data for the strategy, because come to find out, we looked into it, and the killer bees set up a 100-yard perimeter.
Well, it certainly is true. We have killer bees here now.
Oh yeah, this was 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
But the fact I had no idea what I was messing with. And when you look at the dynamics of their capacity to kill by overwhelming numbers and be right there, and then but the point is that I sprayed something with this bee, and he stood there and hovered. I reached out with the can, tapped him, he fell to the ground, got up, flew off, and then it came back. And then I got in my van, and they tried to come in the window. And then
you know what I think, sir? I think you've been assimilated. I mean, do you find, for example, when you get near a fragrant flower that you reach down with your nose and you smell it and sort of say, boy, that looks good?
Art, I'm trying this one. I can tell you this, that the bees, I have, now hold on a second. I have exceptional bee Okay, what happened was several encounters were made, but they finally lashed out at me, stung me, drove me to the van. I'm driving down the street. They had me 2 times in the back of the neck. I'm trying to roll up the window. This was like a scouting party, like a beach landing special ops team.
Yes.
It was the whole hive.
Yeah.
But everywhere I go, Art, my car, when I drove back up, a hive of bees tried to get into my hood. And then it's as if they tag you in some way chemically. But the overwhelming thing I want to move to your audience is this: to have a bee hover in front of you,
Yes.
and you can almost sense that bee is assimilating data. I just can't stress enough. You do not underestimate the bees.
All right.
And I think what saved me is I was in the Mojave Desert in the 2001, whatever, the computer's supposed to crash.
Right.
And I put out a jar. Yeah, and I put out a jar. I was about 2,500 feet up.
All right, listen, sir, we're out of time for this call. All I can say is be safe. Huh? I think he was assimilated, personally. And, I mean, I can't know that absolutely, but it sounds a lot to me like he was assimilated. And you are on the air. Hello.
Oh, hello?
Hello.
Am I on the air?
You're on the air.
I am Ari from Minden, Nevada, and I think my house is really haunted because I don't know why. I just feel like I listen to EVPs, and it's just really creepy. It's just creeping me out around Orchard Road, around everywhere.
Well, don't tell us exactly where you are, but you listen to EVPs?
Yes, I do.
Well, there's your problem. Now, of course, I play them on my program, but I always warn people, that you could be, well, that number one, it's going to be scary. I warn people. And number two, frankly, if you start listening to the voices of those who have passed on, who knows what you're inviting? Like the Ouija board, right?
Yeah, of course.
So you really think your house is haunted, eh?
Yes, because it all started with, sometimes I do my homework in my room, and I always hear, these strange noises, and it's always just in my room. It's not in my head, because I ran out of my room. I was, almost screaming, but I wasn't. And then I couldn't hear anymore, and then I went back, and then I kept on hearing this clicking noise. It was terrible.
How old are you? How old are you?
8.
You're 8 years old?
Yes.
Same age as my daughter.
Yeah.
I try to tell people on this program, we have people that listen and call from 8 to 80, and you just helped me prove it.
Yes. I love your show.
That's very kind, hon. Thank you very much for calling. And good luck with whatever's in your house. Don't let it get you.
Oh, yeah. Is JC calling?
I don't know. JC, I am not going to believe until I see, or until I hear in this case. I'm getting all these messages that JC has arisen. Let's put it that way. Has come back from the forest with some kind of revelation. But until I actually hear his voice, it's just so much chatter on Facebook.
So he hasn't been, on Facebook a lot?
Well, no. He recently has come back and is posting as JC. Now, whether that's really him or not, no idea. The only way we're going to know is when I pick up a line and, you know what he sounds like.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for the call. I really appreciate it. 8 years of age, I told you, 8 to 80, and probably beyond. It's just the nature of this program. Hello there. You're on the air. Hello. Going once. Going twice. Too bad. Sorry for you. Gone. Hello there. You're on the air.
Good evening, Art. How you doing?
I'm doing great, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Hey, I just want to say you do such a great job with all the guests you have on the show. Oh, my goodness.
Well, thank you. Fridays, I just lay back and have fun.
Oh, sounds like a great job. Hey, years ago, my dad got stuck out at my Ash Meadows, He was getting a load of hay back in the 70s,
Yes.
And he come up here. He doesn't really get up and around that excited, But he said, hey, you're the first guy that called, and he described this UFO thing.
Mm-hmm.
He said, hey, that's the same thing I saw out there, and this was years and years ago, And anyways, that's the story. But
so he saw a UFO.
Yeah. And then later on in the late 90s, I heard your show for the first time, and it was the Star Child skull.
Yes. Well, all right. I'm going to ask you then, everybody who talks about UFOs tonight is going to get asked about George H.W. Bush and what he may have said.
Oh, okay.
He said that human beings could not take the truth about aliens if we knew about it. Could you take the truth?
Well, that's just it. I kind of did a little bit of follow-up on that Star Child thing, and it's we'll put it this way, it's quite literally out of this world. Yeah, that is.
Could you take the truth?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. If you read between the lines, what he really doesn't say, this guy that owned that Star Child skull, I listened to some of his lectures. And
I don't care about him. I'm talking about you. If they were to tell you the truth about UFOs and aliens, could you take it, or would you crumble?
Oh, no. I came to my own conclusion, and I'm pretty sure it would be kind of shocking to most people.
And your conclusion is?
Well, that we were like we'll put it this way, like there actually was an Adam and Eve, but it was like created from these creatures that was roaming around here, the Neanderthals or whatever. I'm saying I don't think we came from them. I don't.
You don't, huh?
No, I think it was maybe these aliens used a piece of their genes or something to do what they did to come with us, but I think there was.
All right. What about this idea that we are being slowly invaded by half humans and half aliens?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is they're coming back to collect. Maybe their only reason for making us in the first place, is that we would procreate and then we'd get real smart and we'd do things. And there's all these natural resources like steel and copper and stuff that was exploitable, and now we've exploited it all, and now it's all laying on the surface. And, imagine people wanting to make spearheads back in the Stone Age or whatever. They can find that stuff on the surface. Now try it.
Well,
if everybody went to the Stone Age, we'd never be able to find nothing. But anyways, these aliens could come down and just collect. Now it's all made. It's all this steel is all on the surface.
So in other words, if they didn't have to encounter us poor human beings, they could just collect all the scrap and they would have all this, everything, right? So yeah, maybe. Victor, hello there. On Skype. Hi.
Can you hear me?
I do.
Oh, great. First of all, I want to say thanks for accepting my call.
You're welcome.
Actually, I wanted to tell you an interesting story that happened to me a couple of years ago with me and my cousins.
Okay.
Okay, well, we were hanging out in the garage, and
I do that a lot, just hang out in the garage.
Yeah, we were just drinking some beer, hanging out, and my cousins had like a 90s like Caravan, and it turned on like all of a sudden, and we went outside and we went to go check it out. And
it turned on all by itself, like Christine.
Yeah, and they don't have an automatic starter or anything.
Okay.
And we heard it turn on, so we went outside.
And
we looked in the sky, and we noticed some sort of glowing light or like orb. And
you mean like a giant glowing key fob?
It was more like a light beam, and it kind of like I know it's like every UFO story you hear. It's it kind of just disappeared. You know what I mean?
Yes, they generally do.
And we have until this day we still don't know how the van turned on.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, a giant glowing key fob. That's all I can figure. Who knows? Interesting story. And if you're still there, you heard the story about George H.W., right? Is that a yes or no?
Not the entire story, but...
Oh, well, he said that, okay, well, he said, or is reported to have said, that if human beings knew the truth about aliens or UFOs, actually UFOs, that we couldn't take it.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. That we'd all break down and go berserk. You didn't actually say that, but that was the, I guess the idea. Anyway, I don't even know if the story is true. Thank you very much for the call, and take care. Let's go to our Scott-free line and say you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, on air.
You're on air, yes.
All right, Art. Just want to say a great show. Started listening to you about 5 years ago. I just wanted to tell a little bit of story that I had. Hopefully, what I am hoping for is someone else seen it. So let's go back. This was about 2012, I believe 2012 in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, this is going to be another UFO story, right?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So what did you see?
Okay, well, for some reason during this summer, I was very interested in stargazing out of the blue. So I bought myself a telescope and started looking at the sky. I was with, I was by myself, and my two roommates were, oh, there he is again. He's looking up. Don't break your neck.
Yeah, you are on my Scott-free line now. Does this end up being a Scott-free story? No, huh?
It does not, but...
oh, no. See, all right, thank you. Sorry. Cruel, mean me. That's only for Scott-free stuff. If you have a UFO story to call, I'm happy to hear from you. Just call one of the normal lines. Do not call my special line. That line is reserved for people who got away with something scot-free. And if I don't observe the rules, then others will break them again and again and again and again. I think, I'm not going to say where you are, but you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, I'm from Oklahoma.
Okay, well, you said it yourself. Howdy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Howdy. Yeah, I just had a quick question about Single 7 from 1998.
What about him?
Yeah, have you ever heard back from him?
Nope.
You have not? We thought that was one of the most interesting conversations ever.
Well, with a lot of interesting things, sir, and particularly time travelers, many times you don't hear back from them because they have, gone to another time.
Right. So one of my questions, I guess, is there anything about that conversation? Were there any discrepancies that you heard as you look back or listened back to that about that conversation with him?
None that I know of. How about you?
None that I know of. One of the interesting things that we found is that the Ark of the Covenant, he mentioned that may be found in Ethiopia in, I think, 2037.
Yeah, you may be right about that. A lot of people think it's Ethiopia where it's held.
Yeah, they mentioned it on CNN just recently, so
then
I was just curious.
Must be true then.
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. So was that one of the most interesting interviews you've ever had?
Oh, gosh, how could I pick? People ask me that all the time. The most interesting interview, the most interesting topic. Oh, my God, I've done so many. I have done thousands upon thousands upon thousands of interviews. And so to pick one out would be impossible. Yes, I guess it could be said it was one of the more interesting. It certainly stood out in your mind, right? And on Skype, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, this is Connor in Oklahoma.
Hey, Connor.
Hey, well, I gave you a call before about a demon story I had.
Yes.
Yeah, about how it would talk to me and kind of torment me and stuff. I kind of wanted to give you a call back. I was a bit nervous, and I didn't really tell you everything. I think you'd be interested to hear this other part about it.
Okay, I'm interested. Go ahead.
Well, I told you before it would talk to me in the night as a small child, and it would mess with me and make me upset, and it would really take joy in doing that. Mm-hmm. But the reason I called it a demon when I told you is because I did actually see it.
Okay.
Well,
I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I clicked on somebody, my screen was getting very crowded with Skypes, and I clicked on somebody and I should not have, and when I did that, it cut you off. So bring your demon back when you're able to. Outside the country, you're on the air. Hi.
G'day, Art. Is it me?
It is you.
Okay, I just want to relate a theory that I thought about missing time abduction cases.
Yes.
This theory came to me when I was listening to your show with Travis Walton. And one of the things he said was that before the case with the UFO happened, they were cutting timber down and he was nearly hit by a tree. Mm. And what came to me was that perhaps he was in another reality. Maybe he was hit by a tree. And they took him to the hospital, and he was, he maybe died on the operating table, and then his spirit sort of gone into this other reality where it's kind of rewritten time and rewound it back to before the accident occurred, and then sort of concocted this timeline where he's abducted by a UFO and he appears 5 days later. And one of the things that sort of made me think of that was that after he said he came back, he was never sick at work after that. And I wanted to ring up and ask him a few questions at the time, but I'd only just come across the idea. But I wanted to ask him things like, was there things like scars on his body that were missing? Because what would have had to have happened would be that when he went into this other sort of a timeline, his body would have had to have been repaired. And it may have been repaired purely on the memory of what his body was.
I see.
Of his own idea of what his body was.
Well,
and that's basically it.
If you can get repaired in that way, then I'd like to be picked up. Otherwise, leave me alone.
Yeah, I thought it still could be true with people with missing time because a lot of them are in dangerous situations when they see UFOs. Like, for instance, people see them when they're driving. People may be sleeping with sleep apnea.
Boy, you just brought up a good point. Think how dangerous that is for a UFO to be toying about in the sky, and you know darn well people driving are going to do what? They're going to look up. How dangerous is that?
The UFO is a fabrication. It's, I think they possibly had an accident and died, and the whole sighting of the UFO is something to cover that fact, so that because it may be too difficult for people to remember the fact that they died and would interfere with their timeline now.
Yeah, it's always hard remembering when you die. There is that.
Anyway. Yeah.
What do you think about this H.W. Bush story? True or false?
Whether he said it or not, I have no idea.
All right. Well, then you're with me.
And it's very ambiguous what he said. What he supposedly said anyway.
It's not ambiguous at all. The American people couldn't take it. What's ambiguous about that?
Isn't that just a line from some movie or anyway?
No. No, sir. No. That's from the Brookings Report. A great study was done on this by the Brookings Institution, and the Brookings Institution found that the American people could not take it, that institutions would collapse, that terrible things would happen. Now, I'm not saying George Bush said this, but, what I am saying is that, number one, if he said it, it seems like it could be real because of Brookings. Number two, he's made other comments. And number three, he was head of the CIA. And number four, he was president. That is four, right? He was president. So he would know. If anybody would know, H.W. would know. Now, maybe he didn't say it. Maybe this is an internet rumor, but I have my suspicions it may be true. And if it is, then it may eventually hit the mainstream media. And again, I call to your attention Roswell. Roswell and then Phoenix, where the lights appeared, the craft appeared. We screamed and yelled about it on the air here. And then 2 months later, when they darn well got ready to talk about it, they talked about it, and it was like somebody threw a switch. And it was on every major network, every major wire service carried it. 2 months later. On my Scott-free line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, hey, Art.
Hey.
Yes, I got a pretty good one for you, actually. Well, it is to me. It was at the time. I'm in my 50s now. Back when I was like, 21, 22,
Yes.
I was out rolling around in Portland in my Monte Carlo with 3 guys that I'd just kind of piled into the car with. Marijuana wasn't really very legal back then, and neither was hash oil or anything like that.
They're not exactly fully legal now either.
No, they're not. No, I've been quit for like 13 years, but I did smoke it for most of my life. But I don't really feel the need for it. But anyhow, back then, these guys, we were just rolling around. Now, I had a few plants at home.
Yes.
And I learned how to isomerize, make hash oil. And I had a little bit of it in a bottle cap.
Yes.
And a little bag in my pocket, and we were sitting in this neighborhood smoking this stuff.
Yes.
And like cops do, this one came out of nowhere, and he was just at my door. And I go, oh, well, this ain't good, So, I rolled down my window, and yes, officer. He says, you boys out here getting in trouble. One of the neighbors called in and said they saw you smoking marijuana, and you really shouldn't be doing that around here. And I go, yeah, well, sorry, you're probably right. Well, do you have any on you? And I had it right there in my lap. So, yeah, so I handed it to him. The hash oil was in that bottle cap.
You just wait a minute. Wait. You just handed an officer hash oil?
But no, a bag of pot on my lap. It was probably a quarter ounce.
All right. Well, okay, that's good. All right.
The hash oil is in a bottle cap on the lid to the glove box, which was open.
Gotcha.
And I was starting to sweat, and he says, well, why don't you step out the car? So I did, and he has me dump it out on the ground, and then has me crushing into the pavement there with my shoe,
Good sign,
okay.
Actually.
Yes. And he says, well, do you have anything else? Well, I got a pipe, and I handed him that. And I didn't know if the other guys had anything or not. And he says, do you mind if I look around? And I says, well, no, not really. Yeah, I didn't know nothing back then.
At this point, your stomach is sinking, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the irons to get clapped on and stuff. But
I understand.
He digs through the car. He asks the other fellas there, do you guys have it? No, just what he had there. He was just sharing. And he digs through the car. He doesn't get the other guys out. And he reaches in, and he's rooting around in my glove box. And he gets back out, and he's talking to me there, and he hands me back my license.
Yes.
And he says, all right, well, you're good to go. And that's for the time I see that bottle cap of hash oil stuck on his cufflink.
Oh, God. Really?
I'm not kidding you. Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, I'll bite.
Story.
What next? What happened?
Huh?
What happened?
He drove off. I drove off. He drove off. I dropped the other guys home, and I went home to my wife.
Yeah, and probably said a few Hail Marys. So
Yeah, I said some thank yous. That's for darn sure.
Oh, my God. I wonder when he finally discovered it and what he thought when he did.
Oh, I have no idea, but I'll bet he was really ticked because that stuff probably got all over his uniform.
Oh, man.
It wasn't the real high-grade clear stuff. It was just tarry nasty.
Story of the night so far, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks, Art.
Thank you for the call. Scott free. Imagine him walking away with that on it stuck to him. That one's good, all right. That's going to be a good night. Someone said I got knocked off Periscope. I'll check it out. From the high desert, this is Midnight.
Every line full.
All right. Let's see what happened to Periscope.
It says it's still on. Hey, somebody tell me on there. Send me a wormhole message. Are we still on Periscope or not? Huh. Okay, well, I guess we're on. Somebody else got knocked off, but all of you are still there. Yay. All right, let me pay attention to what I'm doing before I miss a break or something. Let's see, we've got a little bit of time here, so I'll say hello to everybody on Periscope. I am having fun, as you can tell, and we're cooking right along here. Let's see, what do I want to play? It's always a choice of what to play. Oh, what to play, what to play, what to play. I think, let's go for Eye of the Tiger. There we go. And let me tell this young lady, she's on the wrong line. Nah, I won't. All the lines are full. All the Skypes are going. Okay, if you can hear my voice, everybody hang loose. We're in a break, and that's where we're going to be for about 3.5 more minutes, something like that. So if you can hear my voice, you have made it. Turn down your device. I wonder if this HW thing is real. It was Deepak Kumar who said my Periscope connection is lost. The B guy had something interesting. I didn't get it. He said, if you've ever had a bee hovering in front of you, and never got beyond that. Rocking in the nighttime, folks. Sometimes I guess I get them, sometimes not, but I thought we got it. Let me give you a picture. Let's see, what would it be? That should give you some weird pictures to put up. Guess it'd be the wrong time to do it naked, right? This is how I drink coffee, through a straw. I have gum. This is how I avoid smoking something. Somebody said, well, I didn't let the bee guy get to his whole story. I sure tried. He kept talking about the bee hovering right in front of his face and something about assimilation. And all I could get out of it is that he's probably now part of the hive mind. He was assimilated. On the first time caller line, you are on the air. Hello.
Hey, this is Dale from Idaho.
Hello, Dale.
How are you doing, Art? It's a honor to speak with you.
It's an honor to have you on, sir, especially as a first-time caller.
Yeah, I've been listening to you for years, and I signed up as a time traveler right away, right when I heard you were coming back on the air.
Well, thank you. It's kind of cool being able to go back to old shows and get what you missed.
Yeah, it is definitely worth the plug. It's worth it because it makes my day at work go by so much faster. I have an idea for the future for an open line.
And that would be?
I call it the Snowden line, and it would be for military and government whistleblowers.
I like it, the Snowden line.
Yeah, and Art, I over the years I've been on the internet and I've tried to get as many archives of yours as I can,
Yes.
And I looked on your Wikipedia page, and it says that you interviewed Dr. William Pierce, the gentleman, well, I guess you can call him a gentleman, who wrote the Turner Diaries.
Sounds
and
right to me.
Yeah. Oh, I remember hearing an interview you did with Emmanuel McLittle of Destiny magazine, and he was kind of on the opposite spectrum of that.
Right.
And I really want to hear those audios, but for nothing I can't find them.
Well, okay. The deal is this, folks. Here's the deal. Look, I don't own those archives. Those archives are owned by the other, and they play them as they play them. And I don't know what will cause them to choose any particular archive. I have no sway over what they may or may not pick. But eventually, for the collectors out there, I know there are many. I suppose everything will, one time or another, play. Now, why they do that over there, I don't know. Because the last thing you would think that they would want would be to be advertising my name. Because we're back. But they continue to do it. I've never understood it, but I understand that it makes the collectors very pleased. All right, so let's go here. I'm not going to identify where. You're on the air. Hello?
Hi.
Okay, you're not allowed to use your last name on the air, so I took it out. So let's start again. Your first name is what?
Robert.
Okay, Robert.
I'm known around the world as the Summoner.
The Summoner?
I don't know. Yes.
What do you summon?
I'm able to call down UFOs. I'm having an event on Sunday at MacArthur Park in Los Angeles. I'd like to invite everybody that's listening.
And you're going to summon a UFO?
Yes, I've done it many times. Surprised you haven't heard about me.
Uh-huh.
But
I hear something in the background going tap, 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 tap. What's that?
Oh, let me turn this off. I'm having an event, and it's going to be held from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Right.
At MacArthur Park. There's going to be some special people there.
What do you plan on? What are you going to summon?
I summon UFOs.
Yes. I know, but I mean, anything in particular? Is it going to be a big one, a little one? Is it going to be really impressive?
I really can't tell what's going to show up. Most of the time, small ones show up, but sometimes some craft show up. The reason why they do things I really can't explain. I'm sure they try to protect themselves.
All right, let's try another angle. How is it that you are able to summon?
Well, I discovered that I could do this, and I telepathically call them down. And I've taught people all around the world how to do it, and they're doing it around the world.
Okay, teach me how to do it. How do you do it?
Well, what I do is I look up in the sky, and I telepathically
call
in my mind. I tell them, yeah, I do.
I see.
And I look as deep into the sky as I can, almost like Superman. It might sound funny, but that's what I do, and I telegraph the message to them.
To me, it sounds like a superpower, and I was thinking of doing a superpower line one of these nights. So
that would be great.
Be one for you to call in on. So MacArthur Park, what time?
It'll be held from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m.
All right. Well, normally I don't allow plugs on the air, but I let you do that. So there may be some people out there checking out what you're doing. I don't know. Jack, on Skype, you're on the air.
Roswell, Art.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. I'm a Skype virgin. I just figured out how to do it.
A Skype virgin.
Yeah.
The rest of you is now gone forever. Anyway, welcome.
I guess so. What I wanted to relate to you was a small story, and I don't know if it has anything to do with paranormal or not, but it had something to do with spirits and experiencing one.
Well, that sounds paranormal.
Okay, I was a neighbor to an elderly couple. They were very good friends of mine.
Right.
The elderly lady developed Alzheimer's disease, which was sad. And her husband always had a hard time, explaining who he was to her, things like that, because he would forget.
Right.
One day I was just working out in my garage, and she was sitting on the porch. And I was testing the stuff I was working on, and I'd go back and I'd see she was still sitting there. And time and time throughout the day, she was still sitting there. So I finally went over to find out what's going on. And she said, well, I'm waiting for my husband.
Yes.
I'm going to go out to breakfast. And what's taking him so long? Because I've seen you sit out here. Well, he's just getting ready. And she didn't realize how much time had gone by. So I went into the house to see what was going on, and I looked all over the house for him, could not find him.
Right.
I said, are you sure he's in the house? And she says, he's getting ready to go. And I finally decided to walk into the master bathroom.
Yes.
And this is where I know for sure that there are spirits and souls.
Because?
The minute I walked through the frame of the door, I felt him go straight through me and a tingling feeling all around me. And I pulled back the curtain in the shower, and he had died of a massive heart attack, slumped over in the tub.
You know, sir, I've heard so many stories like that. That's really something. That is freaky. And I've heard people say I was over my, dying grandfather or something, and he died, and I felt his soul go through me. And so you really did feel that, huh?
That made me a believer. The minute I walked through the door frame of the bathroom, he was there waiting until his wife was found and taken care of before he left.
Man, what a story.
That's basically what I put together from it.
Gotcha. Thank you so very much. And take care. Wow. This is why people believe in this sort of thing, because it does happen, and it happens again and again and again and again. So, yes, after a while you begin to believe that there are things beyond our physical, material existence. There are. And that's why we do the show. Those are the big questions, the really, really, really big questions. Don't you think? Let's go to Denver, Colorado, and say hello. You're on the air.
Hey, Art.
Hey.
This is your undefeated atheist from Denver, Colorado.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go ahead and let you in. I know that, there's a lot of people here that they honestly do hate me for my skepticism on majority of the shows, but I will.
Why would anybody hate anybody for skepticism?
Well,
Now, you're in. Wait. You're an atheist.
I am.
So that's not just being a skeptic. That's sort of a religion of disbelieving. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yes, but don't call it a religion, because not stamp collecting is not a hobby.
It's pretty close.
So,
it's pretty close.
I will tell you. Would you like to actually hear the story that made me question, the only thing that made me question my atheism? Because there was one time I had, which I believe was a haunting, that actually made me question my atheism.
Well, I should hope.
Okay. So.
If you're hearing from the other side, so.
It's a good story, Art. I'm not going to lie.
Well, it can't be it cannot be such a hot story if you're still an atheist.
It made me question it. I was kind of in the middle at the time.
All right, fine. Give me the story.
And then it made me become an atheist even more when I went ahead and dealt with it. But I will
lay
tell
it
you
on
the
me.
story.
Lay it on me.
All right, here's my story. I used to live in Iowa, and in 2007, I moved to Greeley, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And when I moved there, I moved to my brother's house, and I lived in his spare bedroom that he had for his child, but his child wouldn't sleep in that bedroom because he was acting out. He was about 3 to 4 years old, and he really had a problem sleeping in his own room. But before that, he had no problem. And they moved to this house, and I didn't believe their claims of the things that happened there.
Okay, what is it that happened?
Well, because of the fact that they were both, they're both potheads, and before that they had both done methamphetamine, so I didn't believe it. I was straight edge. I didn't believe any of that because of the fact that they had done drugs before that. I thought that it had ruined their minds.
Okay, so in other words, you thought their haunting was in their pot.
Exactly.
Yes, okay, and
exactly.
so what happened?
Well, when I moved there, I was watching a DVD on their DVD player, and I was sitting there with a friend. I was laying on the love seat. He was sitting there in the recliner, and during that fact, it was the third season of The Office, and I heard something, and it actually really shocked me.
What?
I was sitting there, and I heard something say in a whispering, deep kind of whisper voice saying, "I'm sitting here." And that made me, kind of sit up, and I had one of those moments where I had a lump in my throat, and you can't speak kind of deal, like you're that scared.
Yes.
Yes, we can all relate. You're that scared. The person next to me said to me, "Oh, my God, what was that?" And then they said back to me, they said, "I heard something scared." And I said, "Yeah." I was like, "I'm sitting here." They kind of heard it as well.
Okay,
now,
that's your story.
No. It gets even further into it. And I can go into it for about 30 more seconds, and I can go ahead and make you a believer, because it actually made me one.
30 seconds, 29, 28.
Okay, here. So I'm sitting there, and nothing's happening, and my brother comes home one night, and my sister is working over at the Kodak area over there in Windsor, and she comes back and says, "Hey, we've heard that this area is actually kind of a big haunting area."
10 seconds, sir.
Oh, sorry, Art.
No problem. 10
because
seconds.
of the fact that there's actually, there was a internment camp that was held here for all the people who lived here, during World War II, who were, Jewish and
and so you're thinking it was one of them?
Well, yeah, we actually had to deal with a few of them.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the call. And you ran over time, actually, your own time prediction. You have to learn to tell stories sort of succinctly. And even after all that, you're still an atheist anyway. So, I'm not sure what to tell you. On the Scott-free line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Do you have a Scott-free
How are
story?
you, Art?
I'm fine. Do you have a Scott-free story?
Yes, I do, sir.
All right, proceed.
And this is Paul.
Yes, Paul.
And I tried before with Skype, and it and I did not get along, so we'll go landline. When I was in my 20s, I and two other friends of mine decided, because we made these little challenges, to go to a government area. And I can't tell you the name of this area, but anyone associated with the Navy will know it, and it's in Indiana.
Okay.
It's now defunct.
All right.
We went in on a snowy night and thought we could slip in and slip out, and we got in this area, and the military police were all over us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we were very fit. We parked our vehicle 3 miles out, jogged in, and we were trying to move, and every time we moved, they moved, and finally we got our...
Were you running?
Youthful... we were jogging,
okay.
And some about about 8 inches deep. We got our little dumb young heads together and said somehow they know where we're at, and maybe it's body heat. Mm-hmm. And there was a small building that was actually how we got on was through this private property, this farm, just a stupid farm gate, and that was the hole in their security. And we got in this building because there were animals in the building, and I'm sitting there, and I mean, we figured we're done. We figured we're toast. I mean, you know, they're going to take us out and shoot us. We're going to spend the rest of our life in Leavenworth. I mean, we had to give up because everywhere we moved, I mean, we even let the snow drift over us, and they got on us again.
So somehow you got inside, you hid among the cows, and your body heat was the same as theirs.
Well, that's what we thought at the time, and I think now saved our bacon. But the funny part of this story is, I mean, I'm scared. I mean, we went out looking for a cheap thrill, and buddy, we got our nickel and our dime's worth. I'd rather rebuild an old Swan, every resistor and capacitor and tube at a time. And it was tough. Yeah, so you've been there.
All right, buddy.
Okay, so I felt funny, and I reached back behind me, and I got a handful of snotty cow nose, and I about did my pants. I mean, I did not know what this thing was.
Well, I mean,
know how it got.
Be respectful, sir, when you eat beef jerky. That's all I can say.
And we got back out in one piece. So, I mean, that was very scot-free. I'm sure I would still be inhabiting a cell somewhere in Leavenworth because we actually found what we thought was a nuclear facility in there. But aside from it, you know, we got out. We all grew up. Past my 6th decade, an amateur operator like you, and you see me occasionally sign off of my calls.
Right. We don't put those on the air. But all right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and you take care. 7 threes, as they say. I think everybody has had one of those moments when you get away with something that you probably have no right getting away with. He mixed up his own body heat with cows. Life is like that. Sometimes you get away with things, and sometimes you simply don't get away with them. And then you spend, well, time with other people who are also incarcerated for reasons of not getting away with whatever they were doing. Anybody wanting to comment on this this George H.W. Bush story are certainly welcome to. I think it is the question of the weekend. Is it a true story? Is it a false story? Is it something that is, well, kind of true, but not being reported by mainstream media? I don't know.